We're live. What is up, guys? This is part one of a three-part series. Gonna talk about some life stuff, and we've got a ship, we've got an iceberg, and we've got you. So this is part one of part three of part three. What part one of a three-part series? And this part one is actually called the ship is sinking. So I don't know about you, but there's a lot of people out there, the ship is sinking. And sometimes it feels like my ship is sinking. But in this live today, you'll find out why part one is so important. And I'm just gonna wait for some people to come on, see how many people we get. This is part one of a three-part series. You're gonna like this live. Welcome, everybody who's joining. See how many people we can get on today. Hi, Brian. Welcome. That's the Titanic. And I asked you guys why you thought the Titanic sank. And I think only one person got it right. It's a bit obvious. It's because of the iceberg. It's because of the iceberg. But there's a deeper meaning behind it. And I always look for the deeper meaning. Welcome, Jaden. Welcome, new people. Welcome, Brian. Shout out to you, Nezcat. Welcome, everybody. So we're doing a three-part series. So the first part is called The Ship is Sinking, because in our lives, we have difficult life, let's be honest. And a lot of the times it does feel like our ship is sinking, meaning us, life in general. And the reason why the Titanic did sink was because of the iceberg. But what people don't know is it was the bottom of the iceberg. Why? Because the bottom of the iceberg is the, well, it's like 9 out of 10. Yeah. So we've got somebody saying the iceberg has a deep part and a high part. Yeah, so what he's saying is the iceberg has a part that you cannot see, which is probably about 90%. Some people say it's like 1/7, 6/7. So only 1/7 is showing. So the tip of the iceberg was not the problem for the Titanic. It was what was underneath. And what happened was the iceberg ruptured the side of the ship and the ship sank. So they thought they were fine until they realized the side of the ship has been pierced and all the water seeped in. So today's live is going to be about this. The ship is sinking. And the reason why I'm talking about this, the ship is sinking, is because we need to face the facts. That's part one. Part one of the three-part series is you need to face the facts. You need to face the facts because life is hard. And if you don't face the facts, you're going to find yourself in depression and you're going to not be able to change your life. And that's part one, guys. If you stay till the end, we're going to talk about some conspiracy theories about the Titanic, which is really interesting. I want to make this live as interesting as possible. Yeah, so join us for the ride, guys. So, what I wanted to say, the ship is sank. I'm good, thank you. How are you? How's everybody? How's everybody doing? So the ship sank because the conditions, it was cold. It was cold, there was an iceberg. They are the hard facts. And in your life, in your situation, you might understand a few things about your life. You might not like the way it's going. You might think, what do I need to change? But the reason why your life is hard is because you don't understand yourself. And through this three-part series, you're going to enjoy these live streams. You're going to enjoy it, but you're also going to be faced with the facts. And today's live is all about the facts. So, if you can't face the facts, I'm sorry to say, you won't be able to change your life. So, everybody was saying the Titanic will never sink. Everybody was saying, you know, it's unsinkable. Yeah, I just got a comment. I literally just said it and I got the comment there. So that's amazing. The unsinkable ship, because the ship could not, the ship was just too immense. It was too great. And in our life, we're overconfident. So the ship sunk and it was an unsinkable ship. And it's sunk in such an easy way. It's sunk in a way where like people wouldn't think it would sink like that because there's some iceberg. But that's the facts. What does that mean for you? Well, if you know yourself, if you understand yourself, and you understand that the most important part of your life is actually underneath the sea, underneath the sea where you can't see it. So it's called the subconscious, and we'll get to that in part 2. But part 1 is all about the facts. And let's read out some facts about the Titanic, actually. Who wants to know some facts? Sorry to hear about your grandma. That's very awful. Very awful. Hope she gets better. But yeah, there's some facts about the Titanic. So you might think in your life, nah, nothing's gonna happen. You know, nothing bad's gonna happen. I'm okay. You know, everything's fine. But the more you think that, and the more you cover your face with things that you try not see, because our brain, remember, our brain works in weird ways. Our brain works in a way where we focus on things that we don't want to see. I don't know if you get me. I don't know if you, but that's called repression, which we'll get to in part 2. So it's gonna be a deep one, guys, but it's based on psychology, it's based on science, and I want you to internalize this, and I want you to learn from these lives. And then I'll put together some videos, and then we'll post it as a proper video. But for now, if you're here, you're on the right live. You're on the live that you wanted to be forever, but you just didn't know about this channel. So it's going to be a 3-part series. Awesome. So we've got people on saying thank you. So let's talk about some facts about the Titanic. We're using Titanic as an example because guess what? Almost everybody knows about the Titanic. It's very relatable in the sense that, like, you watch the movie, and it's a great movie. DiCaprio, etc. Some good actors, but it's got some deeper meaning. It's got some deeper meaning to it. So if you get the deep meaning behind this, you could literally change your life, like, actually. And I want that to happen for you guys. So the ship was 269 meters. The length of the Titanic was 269 meters. The amount of coal used per day was 825 tons. Imagine that. The approximate number of lamp bulbs used on the ship was 10,000. The cost of building the Titanic was $7.5 million. That's crazy. And you know what? Your life is very costly as well. I know this sounds corny, but your life means a lot. It's more than 7.5 million. 7.5 million is just a little speck. It's a speck. And if you treat your life like it's more than worth the Titanic, you will start reinvesting into yourself, and you'll start becoming the best possible person that you could be. You will be at your maximum potential, at the maximum level. Did anybody survive? Yeah, I think there's some survivors, but there's loads of theories. We'll get to it at the end. I just want to provide the main point of this part 1. The reason why we're doing part 1 is because you wanna learn about the Titanic first. Because in order to understand how to, why the Titanic sank, you need to understand the Titanic. And then the iceberg will come in the part 2. But I'm telling you now, the iceberg is the most important thing. But the Titanic is important as well. 14,000 gallons of drinking water used every 24 hours. That's 40,000 fresh eggs in the ship's provisions. So they had a lot of food. They had all this stuff. Lifeboats, 64 lifeboats. Titanic was equipped to carry it. And remember, not a lot of people survived because there's too many people on the ship. Yes, there's going to be a part 2. So anybody watching here, this is part 1. Part 2 will be either tomorrow or the day after. And these are all being recorded, by the way. Awesome. So we got a few people on. And yeah. Passengers. How many passengers were on the boat? The maximum number of people the Titanic could carry was 3,500. The number of people aboard were 2,200. The number of honeymooning couples on the voyage were 13. So 13 couples having a honeymoon. And, a lot of them died. Sad. It's sad. It's sad. But it's a great it's a great analogy for our life. It literally is, because, you know, you can plan for all your life, but if one thing happens wrong, you're gone. You know, that's the facts. And what I want you to get out of this live today, whoever's watching, is if you don't face the facts in life, you're gonna be deluded. You're gonna be lost. You're gonna be, all these things. And I don't want you to have that. I want you to face the facts, and I want you to understand that life is short, and the only way you can make it the best possible life is if you focus on today. You focus on every single day being the best possible day. And the only way you can do that is by understanding yourself. Self-awareness is the first key to getting the best possible life, and I want the best possible life for you guys. And so yeah, what we're gonna go through in this 3-part series, let me quickly go through that, because then people will understand and people will get excited, and want to be on the lives. Because quite frankly, we get some random people on the lives. Some people come, some people go. You know how it goes. People are very, they're very sporadic these days. They can't even focus for 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Brianna, shout out. Do I hate school? I loved school. School is good. I didn't like uni though. Even though, what's ironic is I'm wearing a University of Sheffield shirt. So okay, so it's gonna be a 3-part series. So let me see. Let me know if you can read this, or should I write it here? I'll write it here. Number 1, number 2, number 3. So can everybody see that? Can everybody see that? So number 1 is called, the ship is sinking. So the sinking ship. And that's going to be about the Titanic, which is today. We're going to talk about the Titanic. And if you've watched the movie, write it in the comments. Did you watch the movie? Did you watch Titanic? If you haven't, please watch it. It's a good movie. So number 1 is about the sinking ship. And this is the facts. This is the facts. So you need to face the facts in life. Because I know a lot of people watching today, you're like me. You like to see the world as a perfect world. And a lot of the times we don't like facing the facts. And that's so important. So number 2 is I would say the 3 secrets of the iceberg. 3 secrets of the iceberg. This is coming either tomorrow or the day after. So there's the 3 secrets of the iceberg. Meaning, this iceberg is so important. This iceberg is so important, and you'll find out later. Part of the reason is because most of it's underwater. So what you're going to find out through these lives, you're going to realize that the iceberg, it sunk the ship. But the thing that sunk it was the bottom part. And if you don't understand what lies in the bottom part, you're going to be struggling in life. So these three series thing is like a little workshop / masterclass, because I just want to provide some value for you guys. So the 3 secrets of iceberg. And believe it or not, the iceberg theory was actually created by Sigmund Freud. I don't know if you know Sigmund Freud, but Sigmund Freud created a theory which we'll go through in part 2. So the 3 secrets of the iceberg. And the iceberg is split up into 3 parts, which you'll find out in series tomorrow's series, whatever. Tomorrow's live or the day after. Depends how much time I have to prepare for it. But and the final one, number 3, is how does it relate to your life? So it's the hope. It's the hope that you do not hit the iceberg, so you come out safe. And even if you do hit the iceberg, you can swim away. We're going to talk about stuff like that. So it's a bit of like a little story. It's kind of like a little relatable thing. Hopefully people can relate to it. So whoever's watching the replay, if you're watching this and you feel like you're on a crossroads, you feel like your life is not being purposeful, this is a life to be on. This is the one, guys. So it's you. So number 3 is you. So, sinking ship, 3 secrets of the iceberg, you. So why is the ship important? The ship is important because people thought it was indestructible. And let's just see some more facts about the ship. I'm not reading too many comments because it's gonna be recorded and it's the live session is it's not gonna be as interactive as usual. But towards the end we'll go through some conspiracy theories. So the temperature of the seawater in the area where the Titanic sank was -2 degrees. So I did mention before, the conditions, they were cold. So what does that mean? You need to be ready for those cold conditions, and you need to be ready that you might face an iceberg, you know. The minutes it took the Titanic to sink after hitting the iceberg, 2 hours and 40 minutes. So it was pretty fast. It was 2 hours and 40 minutes. So just under 3 hours, the whole $7.5 million ship that was unsinkable sank. Could you imagine that? Like, it is crazy. To me, that is crazy. So much money invested, so much hope that this Titanic would get all these people from one side to the other of the ocean. And the number of warnings of iceberg the Titanic received before the collision was 6. So there was 6 warnings, and the Titanic collided. That's crazy. And then there's some facts about the wreck. We don't need to know much about the wreck, but you just need to know that the Titanic is sank because it was cold and it hit an iceberg. That's just the hard facts. So, just in life, whether you need to face the facts or not, whether you don't like facing the facts, you need to realize that if you've hit an iceberg in life, your life is not going the way it should be, and that is a problem. That is a problem. It's a problem. In my life, I had some certain problems and I did not want to face them. Why? Because I just didn't want to face them, you know? I just wanted to be independent. I just wanted to be the guy who just like does, you know. And the thing is, later on in part 2, you'll find out that when we face certain memories and thoughts in the subconscious, our brain literally like throws away those memories without you even trying. Like that is what our brain does, and that is why you go into severe depression. And in some cases, believe it or not, it's good to suppress things, but in some cases, it's not great. It's not great. So like, you know, I don't know if any of you guys know like well, obviously, you know Andrew Tate. He talks about like some masculinity stuff, and although it's good for some people it's very toxic. It's very toxic. So it comes and goes. You know, like everything has a good and a bad side. So I hope that's one of the things you take away from this 3-part series, that there's good and bad. So the good, there's always some good in some bad. It's just the way life is. It's just the way life is. And that, to me, is just crazy. That a massive ship like that sinks. Quite frankly, just sinks. It literally just sinks. And yeah, you have certain experiences stored in your subconscious brain. So there's subconscious and there's conscious. And that's what this iceberg is all about. Subconscious and conscious. And you'll find out in part 2 that the subconscious is the most important one. And we'll do some stuff about that in part 2 basically. So far does anyone have any questions so far? Let's see. welcoming everybody who joins, new people. Welcome to this live. So, shall we talk about some conspiracy theories about the Titanic now? In fact, let me just show you the post that I posted in the community section of my YouTube. So that was there was something I posted yesterday, and it got some comments, and I asked everybody if you knew why the Titanic sunk, because there's so many theories out there. By the way, there's so many theories, and basically I asked you guys, random question of the day. I said, do you know why the Titanic sank? And 90% of you said yes, and 10% said no. So 10% don't know, 90% no. And somebody had a good comment. They said, for all those who don't want to watch the video, the Titanic was going too fast and the watchmen didn't see the iceberg in time. Some sources state the watchmen were not using binoculars when they should have, but they did not have enough time to turn the ship to avoid it, so it collided and sunk. Yeah, so what I've read was basically they tried to like reverse the ship in order to slow it down, and they did manage to slow it down, and they kind of missed the actual the iceberg basically. So they missed it. But because they didn't know that the main thing about what this whole 3-part series live is, they didn't know that most of the iceberg was actually at the bottom. So then the side hit the iceberg because there's only what 10% or whatever it is at the top. Current theory is that there was a weak spot in the side of the ship from a coal fire in the boiler room, and that the iceberg struck said weak point, and that would be a major contributor. That personally makes a lot of sense to me, but I'm not sure if that weak spot was proven in any way. Okay, so they're saying there was a weak spot, hit it, etc. Okay, that's an interesting theory. We did say at the start of this live how much coal was being put into the Titanic. What was it? Let's go back. We said about the coal, didn't we? 825 tons of coal used per day. 825 tons per day. So that could be a theory, that could be true. That could be true because, if there's so much coal being used every day, and it was in the movie, to be honest, about the coal. Let's see if there's any comments so far. So if you're joining today, this is a 3-part series. We're on part 1. And there'll be more information in part 2, but this part 1 is just like an introduction kind of thing. And yeah, hopefully a lot of people will watch the replay. Poison T said, to those who don't know, long story short, it hit an iceberg. Awesome. That's true. I feel like it is my duty as my birthday is April 14th. Oh, so that's when it sunk, April 14th. All the best for that, by the way. Fake. It was the Titanic's sister or lookalike ship that sank, not the Titanic. Okay, I don't believe that. I'm sorry, but I don't believe that. Thank you. Now they should know. Now they should know. Yeah, this is the thing with conspiracy theories. They start to say like, "Oh, it wasn't the real thing. There was a copy. There was a clone, and it sank it up." Okay, then you believe that, but either way, it sank. Whichever ship it was, it sank, and like I don't know. The Titanic was like the biggest ship back then, so why? I don't get it. Why would they believe that it like? Why would they believe that it was a similar one? That just doesn't make sense to me. That just doesn't make sense. Somebody said hoax. So there's all these theories about the Titanic. Welcome back, whoever's coming back. So Part 3 will probably be on Friday, I'm guessing, or Saturday. Let's see. But yeah, it's so interesting to me that such a massive ship was sunk by such, well, relatively small iceberg. It was actually a massive iceberg, but a relatively small one. And yeah, I feel like the people, the crew on board, and the people who were in charge of the Titanic, I think when people were telling them, this ship is about to sink, I honestly think they just weren't prepared to face the facts. They weren't prepared to say, okay, we have a problem and we need to face this head on. I believe that they just left it till later, which we often do in life. We just leave things till later, like whether that's procrastination or, just procrastination of improving ourselves. We're like, I know I need to change, but I'm not going to change right now because it doesn't suit me. Well, your ship's going to sink. Your ship's going to sink. And a lot of the times when someone tells us head on to our face, you need to change, or I don't like this about you, or you're not the right person right now for me, for example, in a relationship, you're not prepared to face the facts. You're not prepared to say, look in the mirror and say, you know what, he's right, or you know what, I need to go back and discover who I truly am. Because if you're not working out each day, not working out physically, but working out in your mind what you want from life, working out in your mind why you're in the situation that you're in, it's going to be very, very difficult to make a reversal. But there's hope, and that's what part 3 is about. There's hope. Part 1 is about facing the facts. Part 2 is about understanding the iceberg, which will help you understand yourself and your subconscious self, which is more important than your conscious self. Because remember, we are working on 10%. Our brain is 10%. That's just how it is. Our brain is 10%. 90% of our brain is stored in subconscious, and we never think about it. And the only way, some people say you can tap into your subconscious through your sleep or whatever. That's true. Your subconscious is activated during sleep. But you know what's more important than sleep? Well, not more important, but you know what affects the subconscious more important than sleep and stuff like that? It's memories, it's trauma, it's stuff that related to your past. And that's what we're going to discover in part 2. But for now, I just want you to understand this. You need to face the facts. I just want you to understand that there's certain things in life that are hard to face, and one is the facts. Are you struggling physically? The facts are, if you don't look after yourself, you'll continue to struggle. Are you struggling mentally? The facts are, you need to maybe see somebody, or you need to look after yourself more mentally and take breaks. Are you struggling at school? You need to study more. You need to revise more. Are you struggling with your relationship? You need to focus on that. You need to put more hours into that. And the more you realize that, the more exciting your life becomes. And the more exciting your life becomes, the more chance that you will hit the potential. And remember, potentially, there's no limit to a potential. Your potential is what you see. So like this iceberg, the potential is not what you see. So like this iceberg, your potential, what you are actually executing is here, but your potential is much bigger. And if you understand that part of your life, that's what's going to make the true change. That's what's going to make a massive, massive difference in your life. And for anybody who is struggling, and even the people who are not struggling, and you're watching this and you're thinking, hang on, this kind of resonates with me. This kind of makes me feel like I need to change, or I need to get off my seat and be a stronger person and be a better me. Then you need to be on episode 2. Episode 2, you need to be on part 2. And you need to subscribe to this channel. And you need to just look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm just not reaching my potential right now. And there's no chance of me reaching it unless I face the facts and I face the truth. And you know what? There's a saying, it goes, the truth will set you free. You know how true that saying is? It's so true. Because once the truth sets you free, you don't need to worry about your ship sinking, because you understand that there's danger ahead. You understand that the iceberg is there, and you understand how powerful the iceberg. You understand how much of the iceberg is underwater. So say you as a ship, you're going past this iceberg, you understand that iceberg is dangerous, and that iceberg is in a sense me as well. So you're not only the Titanic, you are the iceberg. I know people are probably going to be thinking, what is this guy on about? But there is a deep meaning behind this, guys. A deep meaning, because nobody else is talking about this thing. Nobody else is talking about stuff to do with subconscious, because subconscious is something else. It's something that we never think about. It's like when you are going to bed and you're breathing. Do you ever think about you breathing when you're sleeping? You never think about that, because your breathing is it just happens, and it's the same with your brain. When you are going through life, you are processing the things. You're making calculations. You're working out what's in front of you. You're working out all these physics things whilst whilst you're walking through the street. You're working out, how can I cross the road without getting hurt? But what else is going on? Your brain is working at 100%, which is your subconscious. That's working when you're sleeping. That's working when you go into the gym. That's working when you're eating. It's always working, but you're never actually thinking about it. But I truly believe that because that is working 100%, what I'm trying to say is, if it's working at 100%, because of that, yeah, you actually have 2 minutes to live, breathing restarts it, yeah, 100%. Because your subconscious is working at 100%, I have this theory that because of this fact, a lot of trauma is stored behind all this subconscious stuff. So when you understand your trauma, your memories, your thoughts, then you can actually work to more than 10% of your brain. That's what I believe. And I think there is a theory out like that. But the reason I'm doing this 3-part series is because first, I want to provide some value to you guys. And second, I want you to understand that no matter how hard your life is right now, no matter how difficult your situation is, you can get through it and you can be a better you. Like, honestly, you can be a better you. There's always chance to improve. Even the richest person in the world, Elon Musk, I'm pretty sure in his business, he's like, we need to be better. And you're probably thinking, why is this guy saying this? He is literally the richest person in the world. How much richer do you want to be? It's not about that. It's about the fact that this guy, he's not only the richest guy in the world, but he is also constantly and every single day improving himself. If you are constantly every single day improving yourself, no matter how good you'll get, you will still want to be better. And that's what I want to get out of the people who are watching this. So guys, if you like this live, please do like it. But also, I'll see you on episode 2. Keep on calling it episode 2, but it's part 2. But part 2 we talk about the iceberg, and that's more about theory and stuff that to do with like psychology, which I've been studying recently. Yeah, I love what Khaled said. You actually have 2 minutes to live. Breathing restarts it. So that's how crazy it is. If you've got 2 minutes to live, when you're about to die, because you stop breathing, that's how important it is. And it's the same in your life. It's the same. There could be a moment in your life where it's a make it or break it. And if you're not prepared, you're not going to get to that point. That's what I wanted to say. But guys, thanks for joining in this live. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate you guys, and I really appreciate your support. And I hope to see you in the second live, which will be either tomorrow or the day after. It's gonna be more action packed. But as just the conclusion, the ship sunk, and it sunk because it was cold. It sunk because of the iceberg, and it sunk potentially because people thought it was too big to sink. So that's our pride. And the iceberg is important because it symbolizes something that we'll get to in part 2. But it symbolizes you. It symbolizes the fact that you've got your conscious, your subconscious, and it's something called a pre-conscious, which is the bit just where you can see, but it's just below the water. But the bit that you don't see at all, right at the bottom, that's the biggest part, and that is that is basically in charge of your behavior. Essentially, it's what you do. Whatever you do, it's because of your subconscious, unconscious, or however you say it, subconscious. But yeah, 3-part series, and part 2 would be about the iceberg. Yeah, it's been a good one, guys. Been a bit of a slow start because trying to find my words and get things. But yeah, meet me on the part 2. It'll either be tomorrow or the day after. So thanks for joining. Hit the like button if you did like this live. If you've just joined and you're like, oh, I want to see this, I want to know what it's all about, watch the replay, because this is recorded and it's going to be on my channel. Thanks for joining, guys. See you soon.